it's music connects us, and that's kind of our job as a tribute artist. And not be creepy. That's 100% right. We don't want to be creepy. Hey, little mama, you want to take a picture and all? It was just something. It was not like the music that I was used to. And it, like I said, there was just something that captivated. It reached out to me. It was pure destiny, honestly. You make more money than us, and we have 2 degrees. And I go, okay, well, that's a good, that's a good point. Yeah, it's our performance, but giving that glory to Elvis. I'm the longest reigning champion there is. Thank you very much. Be honest,
you don't want the 80-year-olds throwing their panties at you, right?
We've had that happen before. We've had that happen. If you've never been to Lynchburg, I mean, it's a great community. So it's a lot of great things here. And yeah, we want to introduce our Elvis fans to that as well.
Welcome to another edition of No Holds Barred. I'm Rich Roth, and my guest today, Taylor Rodriguez, but you may know him a little bit better as the King.
Thank you very much, Rich.
Doing something a little different this time. For the first time, kind of diving into the world of entertainment. And Taylor, you're really well known around this area for, I almost said your Elvis impersonations, but you're a tribute artist.
That's correct.
And there's a big difference.
There is. There's a huge difference. And I was born here, lived right here in Sandusky for most of my life, and then we actually moved out to the Good area. And so Virginia, born and raised. And it's been just a pleasure to grow up in this area. It's such a nice community,
Graduated JF, Lynchburg College, with a major in theater.
That's correct.
And a minor in criminology.
I know that's a weird combination,
isn't it? It really is.
My idea when I went into college was, okay, I'm going to major in theater, but what's a backup plan if something goes wrong? Like, right, if I can't sing anymore, if I can't, what do I do? And it kind of dawned on me. I was like, you could use theater for so many different things in life, right? I mean, acting, especially like if you wanted to maybe be an undercover agent. And so that's kind of what came into mind with criminology was, I love helping people, and that's something that's a big passion for me. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to minor in criminology. And if something doesn't work in the entertainment field, I could be an undercover agent somehow. So, yeah.
So needless to say, the criminology kind of ended when you graduated to Lynchburg?
Yeah. I mean, I was sitting in a theater class, and I had my professors come up to me and they go, "Why are you here?" And I mean, when my professor asked me that, I was kind of caught off guard by that. And they were like, and they said, "Why are you here?" And I said, "Well," I said, "I want to get my degree in theater, and I want to have that professional backing behind me." And they go, "You make more money than us, and we have 2 degrees." And I go, "Okay, well, that's a good, that's a good point." Yeah, and but theater is really about communication. It's about, it kind of has public speaking in there as well. And so, I just kind of use those values to kind of get me through life. But, it just, the criminology is still there, but it's in the very back of my mind right now.
So like I said earlier, you're most well known, for being an Elvis tribute artist.
Correct.
But there's more to what you do in acting, creating, producing,
yes,
right, than just that, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it. Like I said, I was born and raised here, and the way that I had started was, it was actually just a hobby at first, right? It was something that I loved to do. I fell in love with Elvis when I was around 6 years old. I was babysat by my aunt, who my parents, we own Mexican restaurants. And so I've been in the restaurant business and have had that exposure through their restaurants. And I basically there was something about Elvis that caught my attention, right? There was something about his persona, the way that he performed, the way that he moved and everything else. And I asked my aunt, I was like, "Who is that?" And she was like, "That's Elvis." And I researched Elvis on YouTube for the very first time, and YouTube was not as big back then.
Right.
It had maybe like a couple videos of Elvis on there, and there was a video that popped up that was blue suede shoes, and it was Elvis acting like he was playing guitar. The guitar had no strings, but he was acting like he was playing, and he was moving around, and I was like, man, that's what I want to do when I grow up. So I was Elvis for Halloween at about 6 years old to 9 years old. Started performing when I was 9, and the local radio stations, the news stations, News in Advance here in Lynchburg, they kind of picked up on it, and it just pushed my career. There was something. It was like a niche, right? It was something unique that a lot of people don't see around this area, right? Mm-hmm. How many times do you see an Elvis impersonator at the time walking around, here? You don't see a lot of that. So, but it is grown to so much more to where I have really just been blessed to know the people around here in Lynchburg and the community, and I've been trying to engage with the community a little bit more, and like you said, produce shows and produce festivals, and just perform for special causes and stuff. And it's really about community. That's honestly.
You mentioned festivals. You've got one coming up. We'll dive into that in a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I want to get back to. You were born in 1997?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. So Elvis died when?
1977.
So you're born 20 years after Elvis died.
Correct. Yeah.
And you're 6 years old, and you were asking your aunt, but I mean, how did you first get exposed to Elvis? Do you remember the very first?
Yeah.
Being 6 years old, you might not. But...
Yeah. No, I remember my aunt would play, while I was playing with my toys and stuff in the middle of her living room, right? She turned on she had a little CD player, and it was connected in the living room, and she played it, and the first song that I heard was Blue Suede Shoes. And I think the next one was like Don't Be Cruel, and then All Shook Up. And it was just something, it was not like the music that I was used to. And it, like I said, there was just something that captivated. It reached out to me. It was pure destiny, honestly. And just reaching out and just saying, hey, you need to listen to this more. But that was the first moment when I was like 6 years old, and just hearing Blue Suede Shoes for the first time, like over the radio or the CD player. And I was just captivated. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that it would lead into this nowadays, but, because like I said, it was just a hobby at first, but now it's become a full-blown job.
So you dressed up as Elvis for Halloween.
Yes.
And then you said you started performing at the age of 9.
Yes.
Describe that.
So every Halloween, we would have, my parents had to work. And so what we would do was all of the waiters and the waitresses and the cooks and everybody, we would dress up for Halloween, because we couldn't close the restaurant, right? So we, and this was in Alta Vista. And so we would all dress up, and I had recently just purchased with my own money a little karaoke machine. And because, like, again, I wanted to be Elvis, right? And so I had this little karaoke CD that it was just pure Elvis karaoke songs. And I bought this karaoke machine at Sam's Club or whatever, and I put it in the restaurant. And I told my parents, I said, I'm going to put on a performance for Halloween. And they were like, okay, all right. We'll set you up a little. They had like little lights. I mean, they were my biggest supporters.
Well, I mean, and everyone loves it when kids are performing, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
sometimes, but and so we were. They had a suit made for me, and they were my biggest supporters. And I went out there and I started singing, and trust me, I couldn't hold a tune back then, but. Because I go back to the videos, and my voice wasn't this deep, it was way up here.
You were not.
But people just were like, "This is awesome! We want you to perform at our church. We want you to perform at our birthday party. We want you to be there when we renew our vows." I was like, "Okay," and it started out. I remember charging like $50 for an hour performance.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you remember your first paid gig?
$50, yeah. And it was it was a retirement home.
That's pretty good for a 9 or 10-year-old kid.
Oh yeah. And my school, they knew that I worked at this young age, but my school supported me. I went to, I first went to Sandusky here, and then I went to Otter River Elementary and Forest Middle School and JF, and they all supported me. Everybody did. And so I would catch up on my homework or catch up on whatever I needed to, catch up on. But $50 is what I started out at. And then my mom was my manager, and she would go, okay, next year you got to go up to like $75. Next year you got to go up to $100. And I was like, okay, we'll do it. And a lot of the nursing homes and living assistants around this area, and as far as Northern Virginia, I remember just traveling up there and just doing
what
a performance. Ever since 9 years old. I mean, I was like,
well, and I guess what I was diving into, because you said your first kind of paid performance was at 9. At what point, do you really need a manager, right? Like I get like mom helping you out or whatever, but at what point did it become, maybe the best word is serious?
Sure. So I actually had a manager approach me in 2016, I want to say. I think it was 2016. And so
you were about 20 at that time?
Right, about that age. And I had just like, there's a thing called the Elvis World, right? And we can get into that later.
Can't wait.
It's a whole like in-depth thing there. But and if you're not in the Elvis world, you don't know about it until I tell you about it. So we'll get there. But I had started doing competitions, and I had started competing and stuff like that. And again, I didn't know what a professional tribute artist was until I started doing this. And so we had went in, and this manager came up to me and she said, I'd really like to try to like work with you and kind of tailor you in a way to be at that level. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I asked my parents, and of course they supported me and everything. And so I got a manager at I think it was the age of like 20 years old, and started getting into bigger festivals. I started traveling internationally. I started traveling to the UK, Australia, Germany, just all over the place, and Canada. And so that really kind of helped my career at that point, because it kind of it pushed me to be better than what I was. And so that was around the age, I was about 20 years old.
So up until that point, for lack of a better term, I mean, I guess it wasn't all just kind of shits and giggles. You were taking it more seriously at that point. But once the manager came on, then it's like, hey, this is the real deal. This can be, more than just a hobby or a side hustle or something like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I started making the big bucks at that time, and I started getting my name out there more to the Elvis world, that has this kind of like dedicated fan base, right? Like, I mean, you have your Elvis purist fans who they don't want to see any tribute artists at all. They only want Elvis, right? Or you have like tribute artist fans too, who they're Elvis fans, but they also love tribute artists. They love following the journey and watching them grow up. And I remember going to Graceland, my first time in 2012, and never been to Graceland. Like I said, my aunt was the biggest Elvis fan in our family, right? And went to Graceland for the first time in 2012 with my neighbors. My aunt had passed away, unfortunately, in 2011. And they knew I was very close with my aunt. And they said, we want to take you to Graceland. So my neighbors, who I call them my adopted grandparents, took me to Graceland for my first time while my parents, still working and everything, and absolutely fell in love with it. I just Graceland, the community there at Graceland, it was something about it, right? It was special. And I actually got invited to come back to Graceland during what's called Elvis Week in August. It's held every year. They celebrate the life legacy of Elvis during what they call Elvis Week. So it's right around his death date, August 16th. And they invited me back to Elvis Week to perform at this, it was like kind of like a public free tent where all the big performers, everybody, like it's kind of almost like a family reunion where they all perform. And I got invited to go do that. And I was like, oh, like this is I get to perform at Graceland. Like that's a huge achievement. And so I started performing, and they got to kind of watch me grow up, you know. And I think I was, oh gosh, I can't even remember how old I was at that time, but you know, 15 years old, something like that. And started doing that at Graceland, and it was just it became like an annual thing that we would do.
Was that the point, or was there a different point where it was really just kind of like it almost hit you, and maybe it wasn't an aha moment, but maybe there was, where you're like, oh my God, this is the real deal, and you know, this is more than just, again, a hobby or a side hustle.
You know, in 2017, I qualified for my very first competition, and I did like smaller competitions before, but Graceland holds what's called the Ultimate Elvis Tribute Artist Competition, and it is the competitions of all competitions, right? It's the top one that a tribute artist can win, an Elvis tribute artist, and there's nothing more that you can do then. Like, you can just go perform at that point.
Let me do this. Let me stop you for just a second, because I want to hear this story. But you've also mentioned tribute artists quite a bit. We touched on impersonator at the beginning.
Sure.
There's a difference.
You want me to tell you the difference?
I want, because it feels to me that tribute artists is like sincere, and impersonators kind of like a joke is.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a perfect way to kind of look at it. So like when you go to Vegas and you go and perform, or if you're just going to Vegas and you see like an Elvis impersonator on the side of the street, it's like, you know, hey, little mama, you want to take a picture? Oh, you know, it's cheesy, right? It's cheesy. It's, and don't get me wrong, we all started there before, right? We all started there as a tribute artist, but you have more respect for Elvis and his craft. So that's why we call ourselves a tribute artist, because we're paying tribute. It's our tribute. It may not exactly be 100% Elvis, but it's our performance, but giving that glory to Elvis, if that makes sense.
So you're not actually like, hey, consider me to be Elvis.
I'm not Elvis.
This is me, Taylor.
Correct.
Giving my tribute.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It's kind of like, think of it like, okay, like you wouldn't call Michael Bublé a Frank Sinatra impersonator, because even though the songs that he's doing is Frank Sinatra covers or Dean Martin covers, he's known as just Michael Bublé, right? And so that's kind of like the way that we want to be known, is like, okay, I'm Taylor, but I'll do some cover songs of Elvis, and we'll try to take fans back to that moment. But we're not on stage saying, I did this song back in 1966, or I did this.
But you guys go a little bit further than, say, Bublé, right? Because you're dressing up like him, you know, the sideburns, the look. I mean, But it's more so than that.
But we never say we are Elvis, or I did this song, or I did that, because that's where you draw the line of, that's an impersonator.
Right.
It becomes a little creepy too, I think, sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, and for the listeners out there too, like, that's something that we want to let people know, is that like we are not Elvis. We know that there will never be another Elvis. All that we can do is try to spread that joy and that music that he did, and try to, I mean, because the biggest compliment that we can get is, and I've had several like little old ladies come up to me and go, "You took me back to that concert that I went to in 1972. Like, I thought it was, and they get emotional, and it's music connects us, and that's kind of our job as a tribute artist." So,
and to not be creepy.
That's 100% right. We don't want to be creepy.
and I get what you're saying about it, especially the impersonators.
Yeah.
It's one thing to do it as a job or whatever, but when you actually cross that line, and it's like, you think that's who you are, it's like,
yeah, and some guys do not know how to turn it off, right? It's their tribute then becomes an impersonation, because they're going around like to interviews, and I mean, or whatever it may be, where even when they're talking like you and I are right now, they'll have the whole, "Oh, Rich, man, it's good to be here, man." And it's like,
no,
that's creepy.
Agreed.
That's creepy.
Agreed. Talking with Taylor Rodriguez here on No Holds Barred, and of course a great Elvis tribute artist from right here in the Lynchburg area, JF, Lynchburg College, and now on to just, bigger and better things. And we'll get to some of that, but you were talking about Elvis Week.
Yeah. So Elvis Week, like I said, it's the week that they celebrate Elvis's life and legacy. They hold it every year for fans all across the world. This year was the 47th, 48th, might be the 48th anniversary of Elvis's passing. And they do like a big candlelight vigil where we all will have a candle. We'll line up at the gates of Graceland. They let us go up, pay our respects to Elvis's gravesite. And it's just really something that just kind of brings all of us together. That's what we have in common is Elvis. And so I think I was telling you that in 2017, where I kind of noticed where I can make a living out of this, right? I did my first competition. I qualified at the Myrtle Beach Elvis Festival in South Carolina. And I qualified where in this preliminary competition, you represent that festival and go to Graceland during Elvis Week to compete for a top prize of $20,000. You get a contract with, at that time, I think it was with Legends in Concert, which is another performance arts venue. You also get to tour. You get to basically be an ambassador for Elvis Presley Enterprises, and you're endorsed. You're recognized by Elvis Presley Enterprises. So it helps you get those bigger dollars. That as an entertainer, that's what we want. We want to have that stamp of approval from the estate itself. And so I represented Myrtle Beach, went into the competition, and my first time ever, I had finished in the top 5. I was considered one of the top 5 Elvis tribute artists in the world in 2017. And so
what are the criteria for that they're judging on?
So they judge you on everything. You can't look sloppy on stage, so they will judge you on your appearance. Make sure that everything is pressed. It looks like, if it doesn't look like Elvis, essentially, they'll mark you points off, right? They judge you on your vocals, your singing ability. Vocals count for double, so that's the biggest, the biggest category there. Mm-hmm. So, and then everything else. I mean, stage presence, interaction with the crowd, whatever it may be. So, and the really cool thing is that you're judged by Elvis's peers. So the people that worked with Elvis, that played with Elvis, in his band, the musicians, I can't remember. I think there was Elvis's jeweler who made all of his rings and stuff. Oh, wow. I mean, just really, really cool people. And we went in there and I was judged that year. And like I said, I made the top 5. And then 2018, I tried to compete again. For some reason, I could not qualify in 2018. It just wasn't my year. And then 2019, I went to the Tupelo Elvis Festival, which is the birthplace of Elvis Presley. And I won that competition, represented their competition in the Ultimate that year, and I finished first place at Graceland.
So back to Graceland, you get first place. The money, the endorsement, the tours.
I have a giant gold belt that says 2019 Ultimate Champion. So it looks like it's kind of like a wrestler
style.
Yeah, almost kind of like it a little bit. But I mean, that thing is heavy. You hold it and it's like 20 pounds in your hand. And so, but yeah, I was just completely honored and just kind of taken away by it. And after you win, it's usually supposed to be your biggest year because you're on most of every single festival there is, right? As a headliner, performing at multiple different places, and COVID happened, and I was not able to do anything. So, but I did hold the title as Ultimate Elvis Champion for 2 years because of COVID. I'm the longest reigning champion there is. Thank you very much. So. I said, if there's one thing out of COVID that came good out of that, it was that moment. So
then if they didn't have the competition the next year and you got to be the the champ, the king, right?
The
2
king,
years.
baby, yeah.
Did you get an opportunity to do that stuff the second year?
I
or
did.
some of it at least?
Yeah, I did. I got to do some different things. I got to do some cruise ships. I got to do, I went to Australia for the very first time for what I consider the biggest Elvis festival in the world. The state government and the federal government of Australia get behind it. It's absolutely amazing. The whole town is turned into an Elvis festival. And remind you, like, Elvis never went abroad. Like, he never went to Australia or anything like that. But yeah.
I'm wondering, should we be insulted that the biggest one is in Australia? I mean,
it's huge. They have a train that comes through. It's called the Elvis train, and they have everybody dress up as Elvis, and with the sideburns and everything else. And it's fun. It's a different type of culture over there in Australia. And they had I think one of their congressmen had dressed up as Elvis. It was so neat. I don't think they had Elvis's parachute from the plane. I don't think that was the moment there. But it was an amazing festival.
Taylor, what is it about Elvis where he has impersonators, tribute artists, festivals, right, all over the world, to the umpteenth degree more so than anyone else? I mean, who would be a distant second as far as, when you're
in today's music, Taylor Swift.
In terms of people dressing up and all that?
Well, maybe not dressing up,
because
I would say
that's the part that really takes it over the top, isn't it? It's
no.
How many outfits do you have? How many costumes?
Too many to count.
You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
What other artist has that?
Sure.
Or anywhere
I really don't think there is any other artist that has that.
Why Elvis then?
I think he was the pioneer for rock and roll. He helped a lot of artists, especially black artists during that time, really pushed through barriers that were kind of held down by racial segregation for it during that time. A lot of people, I think it was Little Richard, Little Richard claims to be the architect of rock and roll, which I think, hands down, I believe that is true. But I think Elvis helped break those barriers for so many artists. Fats Domino, just the list, it's just so many people. Because Elvis did pretty much all cover songs. He had some songs written specifically for him, but he used a lot of different cover songs. And he even covered the Beatles at times. I think Yesterday, Get Back. It was something about Elvis just being a pioneer of rock and roll. I think that he really helped break those barriers, and that's why he was very controversial at that time too. He started wiggling, and nothing to compare to what you see on today's TV and stuff like that, but he kind of was rebellious because of that, and I think that's also what made him famous too.
I was going to say it had to be more than the music, because there are plenty of people who produce great music, and you named a lot of them. But,
absolutely,
But then it's the entertainment value, the taking it. We joked about the WWE, but it's the entertainment value and what else you're bringing to the table, right?
Yeah. And if you look at some of the other artists during that time, Johnny Cash was known for his dark and despair and, very religious kind of a point of view in a way, that grit. And then you had Jerry Lee Lewis, who was a fireball, right? You never could predict what he was going to do. He'd burn a piano down, he'd do whatever. And I think that's what set Elvis apart. Elvis just he had that suave. He was very in the beginning of his career, he was very bashful. He was, he was very shy, but people love that, especially the women. They loved that about him, seeming innocent. And then he'd get on stage, and he would always say the music moved him. So it was almost like he was getting electrocuted, right? It was just that music, that feeling that he had. And I think that's what set Elvis apart from different artists.
You just mentioned something that I hadn't even thought to ask, but now, of course, I will. You mentioned the women and Elvis.
Yeah.
And, we've all seen and heard the stories.
Sure.
As an Elvis tribute artist, does that help you with the ladies?
It is, it's definitely a crazy world out there. If you do your job correctly, as a tribute artist, and you do take, those fans back to that moment, they will almost look at you like Elvis, and it's a little scary, to be honest.
Yeah, you don't want the 80-year-olds throwing their panties at you, right?
We've had that happen before. We've had that happen. I don't know. It's just something. Elvis definitely had every single woman, I think, at his fingertips for him. I mean, he was so popular. But what we see nowadays, I mean, you just got to come to a concert. I really think I think you have to experience it firsthand and go to a concert. I mean, because we'll do the scarves. That's kind of a staple point of Elvis, in his 70s career, where he would get, wipe a little sweat and give a scarf out. And I mean, there are some women out there that will fight for a scarf. I've seen some brawls out there for a scarf, and
I'm like, right?
Oh yeah. And I'm like, don't worry, I got a whole bunch over here. Like, you're good. Here you go. Here's one for you too. So
come meet me backstage.
Yeah. Well, maybe not backstage. You on the side of the stage right there. You're good. But yeah.
So you didn't get into this just to get the chicks, then?
No, not at all.
Just a fringe benefit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a benefit. Okay. I'm happily engaged right now, so we're yeah. Thank you. But I never got into it just for the women. I love performing. As a performer, there's something that drives performers, and that's the crowd, right? Like, we want that crowd reaction. I know a lot of my actor friends and a lot of my performer singer friends who's in the country music industry too. That's what they thrive off of is that feeling and that adrenaline from the audience. That's what we want, and that's what I think kind of drove me as a kid. It was something that you could almost forget about all your problems, issues, whatever. Get on that stage and you perform and you put on a performance. And that's what I liked. It was just turning that switch and being able to, just perform and be myself on stage.
Gotta ask.
Yeah.
Where'd you meet your future wife?
In the Elvis World, I worked together with her, and we had a coworker who was a mutual friend, and that's kind of how I met her, through the Elvis World. So, she's from Branson, Missouri. So, kind of the Bible Belt, like here in Lynchburg a little bit. I kind of consider Lynchburg the Bible Belt with liberty and everything. So
I think that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a fair assessment. So, we've been together for 3 years now.
Awesome.
So,
congratulations.
Thank you.
What is the Elvis World? You've touched on it a couple times. I mean,
I think the listeners out there got to know what it is.
Yeah. And you said earlier, most people don't know until, they're either in it or they get told about it. And I didn't know about it. So
yeah.
What is it?
So the Elvis World is, essentially, we look at the Elvis World as like a big family reunion, right? There are dedicated fans that will travel from festival to festival, event to event, concert to concert, groupies in a way, right? And they all go to Elvis Week, and we consider Elvis Week the Mecca of Elvis events, right? Because it's the home of Elvis Presley right there at Graceland. And so the Elvis World is kind of considered like everything Elvis is just involved. So like whether it's special events or concerts, competitions, we all know people in the Elvis World. The people that worked with Elvis are considered to be in the Elvis World, right? So like, Priscilla and obviously like James Burton, who was Elvis's guitarist, just different artists and people like that. So when you ever hear me refer to the Elvis World, that's kind of what I talk about is there's a whole little world inside of our just regular day-to-day life. And so we're actually trying to bring that Elvis World a little bit here to Lynchburg too with our festival here.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we are running the Virginia Elvis Festival. It's the only one in the state of Virginia. We have our backing with the city of Lynchburg. We partner with the Lynchburg Regional Airport as well. Who else? State Farm, Jack Dean, Pat Merriman. We partner with so many community figures in this area. And we are bringing a competition. So the preliminaries that I was telling you about, different competitions around the world, we're actually bringing a preliminary competition here to Lynchburg. And so
the winner gets to go to
the winner will
Graceland.
represent Lynchburg in the Ultimate Elvis Tribute Artist Competition. And that's held September 11th to the 14th, 2025.
Are you performing in that?
I'm performing. Yeah, I'm one of 5 headliners that'll be there. We have a live 9-piece band that's there. It's held at the Academy Center of the Arts Theater in downtown Lynchburg. And we want you to go get tickets and enjoy it. If you're a fan of rock and roll, you want to come see one of the shows. You don't necessarily have to stay for the competition, but we have headlining shows at night, and they kind of take you through different stages of Elvis's life. So you have the 50s, the movie era, and of course, like the jumpsuit era of the Vegas years and whatnot. So it's a lot of fun.
So you're headlining it. You're not necessarily competing in it?
No, I'm just headlining it.
Once you win,
you win, you're done.
Okay.
Yeah, once you win, you're done. I mean, there's not a set rule on that, but it's kind of just a general rule in a way. We don't want to compete because if you compete and you lose, then you just tarnished your title that you had. So we always just say, after you win, you're pretty much done. I'm just a performer now. So, But yeah, we definitely want you guys to come out to Lynchburg. And if you've never been to Lynchburg, I mean, it's a great community. So it's a lot of great things here. And yeah, we want to introduce our Elvis fans to that as well.
Well, and for a smaller city, the Academy, a great venue as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would imagine that you guys are fired up to perform there.
Absolutely, 100%.
Favorite Elvis song and favorite Elvis song to perform, and they may be the same.
Oh,
but do you enjoy performing one better and listening to one better? Or what do you think?
Well, it kind of changes from day to day. Elvis recorded so many songs. I mean, in his span of his lifetime, it's unbelievable how many songs he would actually have in his catalog. Over 400 to 500 songs, I think. So there is my favorite song to perform, I would say, is probably his gospel. There's a beautiful song called He Touched Me, and he actually won a Grammy for that song. Elvis only won 3 Grammys, and they were all for his gospel music. One was for the song He Touched Me, and the other 2, he won 2 Grammys for the same song, actually. One was for his live performance version of How Great Thou Art, and his studio recorded version of How Great Thou Art. So How Great Thou Art and He Touched Me, those are the 2 of my favorite songs. The song that I like to perform is actually called Polk Salad Annie. And the reason why is because there's so much energy that the band gives you. The fans are going wild and you do all these moves and everything else. You feel like you lost about 10 pounds after you're done moving to that song, but it's great. It's a workout, but that's probably my favorite song to perform.
Is it obviously exhausting, right? Based on what you just said, to get out there and to perform. Tell me about the practice. Tell me about the work that goes into it ahead of time. Is it studying his movements and his gestures? And I mean, is it all that? Because when you were talking about being judged at Graceland, you talk about the different criteria.
Right.
And you said it was double points for the voice work. But you also said that as not an impersonator, a tribute artist,
Right.
that it's more about your tribute to him. So you don't necessarily want to be him or perfectly imitate him,
Right.
but it's your own version of him.
Right.
So when they're judging you on voice work and stuff like that, is it how much you sound like him, or, how true you are to his music? Like, I don't know quite how to ask the question, but I hope you know what I'm driving at.
I got you.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're looking for the best representation of Elvis on that stage.
Okay.
They do off the stage and just like performing, that's when we kind of perform our tribute, but they are looking for the best representation of Elvis on stage.
Okay.
Now, what that means is you're not disrespecting him and being an impersonator and saying like, oh, I did the song back in 1960, whatever,
right.
Because you will get marked down points for that. The judges don't like that. You have to think that these people actually worked with Elvis. And so if you have a great vocal ability, you're going to do great in the ultimate. And the reason why is because they're going to really grade you on your vocals. I personally, and this is my opinion, I personally don't think I sound a lot like Elvis. I think there are bits and moments, but I think that's what sets me apart, if that makes sense. So when they're judging you, they're looking at, they just want to see a performer. That's what it's kind of switched into. Before, they used to look for, we want the closest to Elvis, but now what they're looking for, it's kind of switched. It's almost like a change in a way, where they've looked to more of, okay, we want the best performer that can connect with the audience. They still, like, if you turn a certain way and they see Elvis, you got him. Like, you got him. That's what they're looking for. But you don't necessarily have to be Elvis. But if I can sit there in a chair and I judge you and I go, whoa, I just saw Elvis, and it makes the hair stand up on my, you've done a good job.
Okay.
So that's what they're looking for. That is what we look for in a competitor with Virginia. That's what we're going to look for judging wise. And we have actually our judges that we have, two are critically acclaimed country artists, coming from one's coming from the Nashville area, one's coming from the Chicago area. They're both great performers, and then the other one that we have is kind of an Elvis. I don't want to call him an Elvis nerd because that's not the right term, but he's more of an Elvis. He knows every single fact there is about Elvis. He knows which ring went on what hand. He knows, he's down to the minute detail.
Wow.
And so we have three great judges, but that, to me, that's what we look for in a competitor, and that's what Graceland is looking for as well.
And as far as the question I was asking also about the practice and the rehearsal and
sorry, I skipped over that one.
No, that's good.
Sorry.
I mean, I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss it.
No. So my practice technique that I do is, and this is a tidbit for anybody out there wanting to be an Elvis tribute artist. You listen to Elvis sing a song such as, let's just say, My Way, right? Great song, and you listen to him sing My Way. Well, what I would do is I would take a karaoke track and I would record my version of My Way. And then I would go into like GarageBand or something and I would overlap it. And I would make sure that my inflection on my voice is the exact same as Elvis. I would make sure that I'm hitting the note. I'm not flat. I'm not, sharp. And that's kind of my practice and rehearsal is I do that myself, is where I listen to Elvis and then I try to recreate what he's doing. Because if you learn how to sing like him, then your voice is going to naturally start to do the exact same thing. He had a very like Dean Martin kind of inflection in his voice. And so you hear that in his vocals. And so that's what I do to practice. And then as far as the moves and stuff, you just watch Elvis constantly. So like and you have to work on your breathing technique because you don't want to get winded and, struggle and, trying to perform. And it gets hot on stage, but yeah, you just have to really like research his moves and research his vocals and his little things that he would do with his hands, like when he was performing.
So it's safe to assume you're kind of videotaping yourself to see if you're doing
Not
it right?
really. I actually watch. What I do is I have like a big mirror at the house, and so I kind of just try to see like what he would do, and I try to copy that exact moment because, like I said, when a judge is looking at you on stage, if you do that just a little bit of like Elvis, the way you hold your hand or something, and you just catch a glimpse, you got him.
Mm.
So that's what you're looking for, and that's what we do to practice.
What about the appearance? I mean, you said that you have had hundreds of costumes, but the hair, the sideburns, the whole deal.
And these are real, by the way. So yeah, it takes some time to grow them as well. But yeah, no, the costumes, man, Elvis had such an expensive taste in costumes. He had. There's been recorded about 88 different jumpsuits that he had.
Wow.
And the whole history behind the jumpsuit thing was it went back to his childhood. He loved comic books and he wanted to be a superhero. And so when he performed, that's why you always saw him like with the cape in the 70s and stuff like that. He wanted to be that superhero. And so, I mean, the costumes, we have a couple different companies that we go to that actually specialize in making Elvis's costumes. There's one costume company that actually made the costumes for Elvis, the movie with Austin Butler. That's called B&K Enterprises. They make all of the different jumpsuits, and they have all the original patterns to Elvis's jumpsuits, so they're 100% accurate. They do use, I think, like a polyester now type material. Elvis used like a wool gabardine.
Sounds hot.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it was heavy. It was heavy and hot. So, and it takes a lot of money to do what we do. I mean, one jumpsuit for us can cost anywhere from $1,500 up to $4,000.
Wow.
I mean, it just depends. I have several jumpsuits that are over $4,000. And so it kind of sets you back financially a little bit. The rings and the jewelry, I mean, they're exact replicas of Elvis's. So like I have a TCB ring. I have Elvis's like wedding ring that he had. There's a place where Elvis had his clothes made in the 50s called Lansky Brothers. They're still in operation today in Memphis, Tennessee. So we get a lot of our clothes and our jackets and stuff like that from them. It's an expensive hobby. Trust me. When I was a kid, my parents were like, all right, we're going to buy you your first jumpsuit, and they saw the bill.
Merry Christmas, happy birthday.
Yeah. Happy Easter, happy, so, it gets expensive. I mean, from a day to day, like the stuff that we wear on stage, I mean, it's like a $5,000 outfit right there. I mean, you got the boots, you got the belt, you got the jumpsuit, or if you're just doing like the 50s, I mean, the 50s is definitely cheaper to start out with because you can just do, you can grab you a coat from Belk and it'll look like an Elvis coat, So, yeah, it gets, it's a headache, but we love it.
Taylor, you mentioned the movie.
Yeah.
You had an opportunity to go to the premiere.
Yes. Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that and the reaction and feedback from those in the Elvis world.
Sure.
To the movie. Are they happy with it?
Yeah, I think you have some people that are they're a little upset, I think, with the movie because I mean the movie was a long movie. Elvis's life is very interesting. I mean, you have an entertainer that started out when he was at a very young age. He was so shy and so bashful and he was pushed to stardom really quick in the 50s, and then he started doing movies, and then he got drafted into the army, kind of came back, and you got the civil rights movement in 68. I mean, there's so many levels and layers to Elvis's life, and the movie was I think it was like 3 hours long or something like that, and they had to push through it because it's Hollywood, you got to push through it really quick, and Baz Luhrmann did a fantastic job in my opinion, with the movie. And it's brought a lot of a younger generation to the fan base, which is great. That's what we want. Our jobs is to pass down that music that Elvis had and keep his legacy alive. And that movie really, really helped, I think, push Elvis fans to Graceland.
Are you seeing more younger people at your
Absolutely.
shows?
Absolutely.
And I guess what I'm driving at is, the legacy. Obviously, the legacy of Elvis is going to live on, and for most likely eternity. But
Sure.
the music, right, as people who grew up listening to, and even me or you who really weren't part of the generation, right? But we knew who he was and we know the music. But as we get older and we move on and his fans pass away and all that happens, does the music, stand up? And then the tribute artists, folks like yourself, I mean, as I hate to say it, but the older Elvis fans pass away. What's next? Does it last?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest question in the Elvis world is how long will this world survive really? And we kind of answer the question ourselves because like when this Elvis movie came out, it pushed so many young fans to us and to the shows. And that's what we want to see. Of course, do not get me wrong. We want to see those fans that saw Elvis, back in the 70s or the 50s or whenever, they got to see him. We want those fans to come, but we also want to secure his legacy and introduce music to what true rock and roll music is to that younger generation, because that is the generation that will carry on the legacy for years and years to come. And it's all about making Elvis relevant. And they did such just a phenomenal job with making Elvis relevant again. So it was really, really nice. And as tribute artists, we loved seeing it, and we still see it today. I mean, there's so many young fans still coming to these shows.
Personally, you talked about in 2019, really the ultimate honor.
Yes.
Going to Graceland, winning the competition. And now we're 5 or 6 years removed from that. You've talked about creating your own company, getting into production. The event that's coming up at the Academy, is one of your events. You're performing, but you're also putting it on.
Yeah.
So, you're kind of graduating. Mm-hmm. Do you see yourself slowing down as the tribute artist as well to do other things? Is that something that, I don't want to say been there, done that, but as you move on to other things, is that something that maybe becomes a smaller part of what you do?
Yeah, I've asked myself the exact same question. I kind of asked myself, how long am I willing to do this, right? Like, how long am I willing to keep performing or, just, I get bored easily sometimes, and so I keep myself busy with so many different things. And I love expanding my horizons. And with starting my production company, it's given me an avenue to put all of my creativity, right? All the artistic creativity that I have, and put that on display for people. And that's what I love. Like, I love producing shows and producing concerts and events. We do a Christmas concert annually over at the Academy, and we've expanded to Graceland. They've accepted our show over there.
All Elvis related?
It actually not fully Elvis related. That's it's called a Rockin' Memphis Christmas, and it has Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, Elvis is in it, obviously, and it's just the four guys rocking out on stage with Christmas tunes and stuff like that.
Are you into stuff that isn't Elvis related at all yet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, not performing. We actually.
I'm saying even as a production company.
Yeah. We did a Dolly Parton and Elton John tribute, which was really fun. And we did that at the Academy, and that went over really, really well. I mean, we're looking into doing like an Alabama tribute. There's so many different avenues that we could do, and tributes. The reason we're sticking with tributes.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of your niche,
trend.
Right?
Yeah. You saw a trend in that. So, the tributes is just something that we know how to do. And so I've kind of, I've stick to that for now. You know, I used to do my own music and stuff like that too. And I definitely still see an avenue for that, but my focus right now is to get my production company kind of up and running. You know, we've been very successful over the I think 5 years. I think we started it in 2019. And so we've been very successful in the 5 years that we've had. We're expanding to like a Hawaii Elvis Festival. We're doing, partnering with Charlotte Motor Speedway on some events and stuff too. So we have some exciting opportunities. But that's where my passion is right now. I love performing, don't get me wrong, but, I kind of see myself maybe sitting back just a little bit and producing for, you know, a while. And then maybe later on in life, maybe, get into politics or something down the road. I don't know. God help me, right?
I hear they need some help in city council.
Well, you know, I moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina now. So, yeah, I would love to do it. I mean, honestly, just being able to help people is what I love to do. I love to, just help and engage with the community and stuff like that. So that's one of my passions. I love it.
When you talk about producing shows with different tribute artists, I think you mentioned Alabama and, you know, Johnny Cash. And
yeah.
Tell me about the process there. Do you pick a specific artist you want to tribute, or do you see someone who does a great job and then be like, man, I think I could work with that person? Like kind of a chicken and the egg thing, right?
Yeah, we kind of do both. So we have, we call them alter egos, right? Because like in the Elvis world, it's Elvis, right? So it's always got to be Elvis. And so we kind of all have like an alter ego in a way, like where I know one tribute artist, he obviously does an Elvis tribute. His name is Cody. And he does a great tribute to Frankie Valli. It's unbelievable. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you could do Frankie Valli, you know? And so we have another guy, his name is David, and he does a great Conway Twitty. I do like Johnny Cash and Richie Valens like on the side too. So we all like to change it up. Like I said, we get bored easily sometimes. So and do not get me wrong, it's nothing about being bored with Elvis. It's just when you do that every single day, you know, or every other day or whatever, you gotta change it up.
New.
Yeah, you want something new. So we kind of look at each other and we go, hey, you know, you do a great Garth Brooks. Have you ever tried Garth Brooks? Maybe you should do it. Try to do a song, learn a song, and then just try to do it. And eventually it will come out. Like it'll we've had one guy, he just started doing a Tim McGraw tribute. Great Tim McGraw. Like little mustache, cowboy hat, tight shirt and everything. Great. I was like, oh my gosh.
It's interesting. The last two guys you mentioned it feels like they're a different, newer generation. Like you're talking about Johnny Cash and Elvis and all these guys, you know, from back in the day.
Yeah.
Conway
Twitty.
Yeah.
Yep. Not Conrad Birdie. No. That's Bye Birdie.
Gotcha. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of the tributes are from past generations, which kind of makes sense, but we are getting now into more modern folks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, we've seen that tribute to like Tim McGraw. We've seen some great, just newer tributes to like Garth Brooks and stuff like that too. So, it's very interesting to kind of see like where we're all performers and we all love performing. So we do what we do best, but we also like to expand that just a little bit and do some other tributes and whatnot. So who knows? I might be a Pitbull tribute artist sometime or something like, you know, I'll get a wig cap and we'll be good to go.
I'd love to see that. I think we all would.
Oh, yeah.
Remind everyone again about your show coming up at the, or your festival.
The Virginia Elvis Festival, presented by State Farm, Jack Dean and Pat Merriman. It's coming up at the Academy Center of the Arts, September 11th to the 14th, 2025. You can get tickets via our website, www.tmjrproductions.com.
Taylor, before I get you out of here, I got to ask, can we hear a little something?
Sure. Okay, we'll do a little A little blue suede shoes. Is
Good.
that all right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's a 1 for the money, a 2 for the show, a 3 to get ready. Now go, can go, but don't you step on my blue suede shoes. Well, you can do anything but lay off of my blue suede shoes. Thank you very much.
Taylor Rodriguez.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much for having me on.
Absolutely.
Thank
Great
you,
having you. Thank you, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And I hope I enlightened some of your listeners about the Elvis world.
Oh, it's been fascinating.